Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host. How's everybody doing this evening? Tonight, our live stream is going to be about the dangers our children face from the second they're born, and there's a lot of them. That's what we're going to discuss tonight. So anyway, it ought to be a good discussion. So let's sit there, and if you're watching the replay, fast forward to about 3 minutes, and I gotta sit there and waste a little time for people to show up for the live stream and stuff. Let YouTube do their little bit of stuff that they do, because I tell you what, they don't like sending out notifications. I mean, you want to know how these people think? Being a content creator, you can, by what they don't promote or what they don't put on the feeds and stuff, you can tell where they're sick. Anyway, all I know is I've put a few videos on today. Well, first, let's talk about the I've done a couple videos on this, the Sydney Sweeney thing. People get all upset about jeans and how jeans are sold. Well, obviously, these people that did the marketing for American Eagle are geniuses, because they're selling jeans like crazy right now. Anyway, probably get some bonuses out of that. Liberals need to think about that when they're trying to destroy a business and they get too worked up. They just make the business that much stronger and more profitable. Okay, I guess you go woke, you go broke. If you're woke and against it, well, hey, Johnny 99, how's it going? Nice to see you tonight. Yeah, we're going to talk about our kids. I tell you what, I don't know if you saw that short I put on about the Tom Sawyer one where he's, if I were God, a tribute or to the kids on the front line with this that don't exist. And they won't put that on at all. I mean, just shows you what is going on is the truth. Okay? And before we get into our kids, remember back in the 80s, J99, the Senate page deal, where all these pages in the Senate, I think it was just the Senate, were basically being sexually harassed. Remember that? You know why I remember it? Because I had like 16, and I actually sat there and filled out the paperwork to become a page up in Capitol Hill. Whatever became of that? That got swept under the rug too. You see how long this shit's been going on? Send our kids up to the Washington, D.C. so they can work with these politicians and learn about our government, and all it does is become, hey, let's see what kids we can have an orgy with. If you want to sit there and know what Hollywood's like, listen to what Corey Feldman has to say. By the way, let's get in with the subject. Doing okay. What year was that? Must have been like 84, 83, 84. I need to look that up. I remember the Senate page scandal in D.C. Anyway, let's get into the dangers our children are facing. And if you're new to the channel, please hit the thumbs up button, the subscribe, and the bell notification. Help the channel to grow, because I don't sell stuff. Hello, how's it going? In 1984 it was. Okay, I was 9. Okay, yeah, well, like I say, I was still in high school. I remember filling out paperwork to be a page, and that's why it sticks in my head. Anyway, the danger day one, okay? First thing is the hospitals and the pharmaceutical companies think that kids that are being born these days right away, they're a pincushion. Shooting them full of vaccines. I thought that's what the colostrum milk for the mother was for. Am I right? Am I wrong? That's what it's for, the colostrum from the mom. But now they sit there and jabbing them with all these needles and stuff for the day they're born. Okay? The dangers we face. And then let's not even bring them up autism, because even though there could be links to autism and vaccines, we're not going to say there's a link. It's just autism's really on the rise. See, the thing is, when these pharmaceutical companies, and this video may get banned. I may get a strike for this video. But when it comes time where they got to pay, let me tell you guys something. I listen to a lot of old-time radio shows, okay? A lot of old-time radio shows. Well, I'm glad you love vaccines there, ma'am. I got a strong immune system. I don't need vaccines. I haven't been to the doctor in over 20 years. I haven't been sick. Never wore a mask or did any of the COVID nonsense. Went to work every day. Never did get COVID, never got sick. That's what happens when you work in dirt, get your hands dirty and stuff. You know, it's amazing. The homeless people never had a problem with the pandemic either. I wonder why that is. But hey, you love vaccines? Go jump on the bandwagon, because I hear the COVID shot, what are you supposed to be getting that every 2 months now? Did you sign the paperwork to make sure that you can't sue him, you Mr. Guinea Pig? Anyway, this is the world we live in, okay? But all the autism we're having now from these kids, okay? And then the behavior disorders we're having. How come so many kids are on antidepressants and antipsychotics and ADHD, you know, it's other crap medicine? We didn't have none of that when I was growing up. You have poor eyesight. No, I don't. You know what's wrong with my eyes, sir? My eye lenses are really scratched. All I do have to wear is reading glasses in the dark. This is a good thing to come into. I don't have any health problems. But the thing is, my lenses are scratched and I got metal in my eyes. But my vision's still 20/20. I go out in the natural sunlight, I can read the bottom line of shit. But natural light, I have a problem. You know why my lenses are scratched? Because I work my ass off. I do this thing called hard labor. But anyway, that's another story. But see, derogatory, your eyesight's are bad. How do you know that? Were you my eye doctor? Jumping to conclusion. Did you get rid of him? Did you time him out? Anyway, this is what you got to deal with on YouTube. But see, this is what somebody who likes vaccines. I got a feeling that C vaccine that they made these people convinced that they were supposed to get, I think it's causing a lot of brain issues with their cognitive functions and their ability to ration and control their emotions. Okay, but we're talking, you know, let them get the vaccine. See, this is the thing. You're in this country, you're allowed to do whatever you want. God gave you freedom of choice. And if you were convinced that the government could force you to do something, more power to them. But us who know stuff like the Nuremberg Code and the Constitution of Rights and about you can't be subject to medical tyranny, we all understood it was bullshit. You know, how can I still be walking around when I never social distanced, never wore a mask, never got the went to work every day, you know, and just whatever. How am I still alive? I don't know. But anyway, do you know who made it up? Who made it up? See, the thing is with the pandemic, you know why I knew it was bullshit? Because in the mid-1990s, I studied the 1917, 1918 flu for quite a while, you might say. Quite a while. And I was thoroughly educated on pandemics, especially that one that killed 10% of the population of the world. And that was before air travel. So I knew what it was like. But, you know, I'm watching this and dang, I don't ever see a funeral procession. The small hospital that's around our area is never full. Their graveyard's not grown in size. People aren't dying. I mean, if you live in a town of 800 and you got a pandemic hit and you lose 80 people, that's news. We didn't lose nobody. A lot of people that died during the pandemic because politicians made a lot of stupid mistakes. Anyway, let's get back to our children. See, another way where you get distracted. What do? You got freedom of choice. You can jab your body full of a bunch of shit and take a bunch of pills, spend a ton on medical and stuff, or be like me and go to the gym, stay active and healthy, never have to go to the doctor. Your choice, okay? Gym membership's a lot cheaper than a trip to the pharmacy. And plus you feel good about yourself. But anyway, okay, our children, the shots they get, autism, right? The beginning of they're so concerned about child development at stages and stuff when, it was just normal. We didn't have that problem when I was growing up. And then this vaccine shit. What did we do when somebody got chicken pox in the neighborhood? What did the parents do? Took all the kids over that house so they could all get it. Everybody in the neighborhood got chicken pox and we were done with it. Imagine if you did that now, if anybody even gets chicken pox, because they got that. Boy, J99, you're pretty busy, huh? I knew this was going to be a firehouse one. I really don't give a shit. Okay, at least you know what Marines are like. We're fucking assholes when we get pushed. And you know what? You get in between a Marine and his mission, you're not going to be a happy camper. And right now, my mission is to be here on YouTube and try to get the fucking message out. And tell everybody who the real enemy is. It's not your frickin' neighbor. It's Washington, D.C. The people that are stealing from your wallet, abducting your kids off the street. Oh, yeah, we'll get to that danger, but we're just getting it. We're not even in the school yet. Yeah, like I say, J9, and your dad was a Marine, your Army, your daughter's Army. We just think differently. Jesus Christ, we take an oath. We don't go and serve to serve ourselves. The last thing you do is join the military to get rich or serve yourself, your property of the government. But it's amazing how everybody seemed to get along, didn't it? The friction that we had in having the civilian world, we just didn't have in the military, did we? Because, we were told, we went to boot camp, there's one color in the Marine Corps, green. You're either a light green or a dark green, okay? End of story with the fucking racist and prejudice shit. Solved. First minute. But see, they had a job to do. They had to turn us from civilians into the Marines. They didn't have time to create problems. They had to solve problems. Like our government does, create problems so they can spend more money to solve problems. And it's just the end of the cycle. That's why they never solve any problems. My mom was a Marine. I tell you what, I don't know what would be worse. My kids always tell me, Dad, this isn't the Marine Corps. Or having a mom that was a Marine. That might actually have been worse. Because, some women just demand respect. Okay. But, that's cool. Us Marines are whatever. I went in the Marine Corps. They turned me into a Marine. Now the rest of the world's got to deal with me too, just like I got to deal with myself. Anyway, so back to the subject on the kids. So vaccines and autism, right? Then they start going to school. Oh. First they mess with their body. Now they seriously are going to get their brain screwed up. Indoctrination. I mean, could you imagine a kid coming from a normal family, mom's normal, dad's normal, goes to work, and sending your kids to kindergarten, and the teacher's got pink and purple hair, and it's a guy wearing a dress, all this other shit. Like your kid's going to come home, Mommy, I think I went to a different world today. Okay, the shock to their system. Kind of like the shock when you went to boot camp, right? The first couple days, the shock. And then you just get used to it, and it becomes part of life. The yelling and you just, I know in the Army too, in the Marine Corps, we had a lot of classroom training in boot camp, a lot of classroom training too. I don't have any faith in the public school system. No, absolutely not. I mean, like I say, our education I got in fourth grade, my fourth grade education was equal to a high school diploma today. No shit. And I was probably smarter in fourth grade than a lot of these people graduating high school. So that means my high school diploma, considering I took advanced math and computer and science classes, I probably had a degree in college, what a degree in college would be these days. And our kids are subject, not only are they not getting educated, they're being indoctrinated to all this sick shit. I mean, my daughters, which are having kids now, they had to go to school with a kid, a boy, that dressed up like a girl and wore miniskirts. Girls weren't even allowed to wear miniskirts, but this fucking freak was allowed to. And if you teased him, you got in trouble. My grandson's got to go to school right now with a litter box in his room because 2 kids in his class think they're furries. How do you teach health class? How do you teach health class? With a boy or girl who thinks they're the opposite sex and somebody who thinks they're an animal. J99, keep it up. I don't know what's happened to our other moderators. Strictly Cycling, I know he's busy and stuff. He only bumps in every once in a while, but Amanda, I don't know what's happened to her. And Carol, I need to send her a message because her YouTube family's starting to get worried about Carol. Okay, and that's one thing here on YouTube too. You got your morons like that, but then you also create your YouTube family. People you don't know, but people that you have the same interest in. I wish like J99 would start her own channel up. I think that'd be cool as hell. But anyway, I tell you what, J99, let me put the time limit on here, the delay, so you don't have to deal with this, okay? I mean, how am I supposed to have an intelligent conversation? I mean, we're talking something serious, our children. And we have adults that went through this system and that are basically still children coming in here thinking that's acceptable behavior. Us adults that have kids that care about them and grandkids that care about them, we don't have time for that shit. At my age, it's no longer about me. I mean, I want my grandkids to live at least as long as I have. I don't see it happening. They're not living free. By the way, okay, they're going to school. All this indoctrination from the beginning, okay? And then let's admit, school, okay. Well, we were growing up, school was a job, correct? From 8 in the morning to about 3:15 in the afternoon when the bell went off. Well, 8:20 to 3:15 for us, okay? But the buses had you there by 8, and you sat around the hall. Anyway, and you had a half hour for lunch. Now what do they got? Well, they got vacations nonstop. We never had spring break. They have vacations all the time. They get off half a day on Friday. If it's too cold, they don't have to go. You know what? When we were growing up out in the country, if the bus, no shit. Can you shout me out? You are speaking facts. Hey, when I was growing up, we had to hear the truth. They never kept telling us the truth because we don't care about your feelings. You're going to hear the truth. We grew up being responsible. We were in high school. Let's see. I was in sports, still made the honor roll in school, had a job, and had to do chores at home, and still had time to have fun. It's amazing how much time we had when we didn't have cell phones in our hands and computers, huh? Anyway, it's amazing how much time that's taken up. So anyway, these kids, They have it too easy. Nothing's expected out of them. I mean, I go watch these sports events and stuff, high school sports events, and I look at it as the teams we had back when I was a kid would have whopped these kids. I mean, you got the cross country track instructor, right? He's on a bike, and the kids are running. Anyway, but don't worry. You need a teaching degree to be a good coach. Even though the football team hasn't won a game in 7 years, and there's probably a parent that could do a better job, nope, you need the English teacher doing it because they got a teaching degree. Anyway, so oh, I love trolls. They need a place to come to. Trolls are just not, they haven't been properly cared for, okay? But anyway, hey, you can stay on there, keep my analytics looking good. So anyway, our kids are in school. They're not being challenged. They're not being educated. They're being indoctrinated, okay? And they're never told they're wrong. Never told they're wrong. Like I said, just ask somebody who graduated high school and ask them who we won our independence from. I haven't had anybody answer that right in 15 years, so good luck. My kids didn't even answer it right. France is a common answer. So anyway, everybody's got France on their mind. I guess they speak French. So anyway, they're not getting educated, okay? And this is the thing. We know at our age, if you don't get an education, back then we always say, well, how are we going to use this when we get older? Like a smart-ass kid says, right? Well, now we know. Okay? Now we know. Because it made us productive adults. It gave us a future. You know, I had teachers that cared about me after I got out of the school. When I was on my own and 18, an adult, my teachers cared that I became a productive adult. Okay? Nowadays, you don't have it. They're caring about, oh, my numbers look good so I can get a raise. What happens to that kid when they get out of school? I don't give a shit. I don't even know their name. But anyway, our teachers, like I say, cared. Because the teachers that we had kids that were in our classes. It was a small town. They were teaching their kids. And in that class, if they had a kid in that class, that kid had to call them Mrs. or Mrs. or Mr. None of this fucking mom or dad shit. It was respectful and proper. Okay? So obviously they taught good because they want their kids to be productive. It was just different back then. And nowadays, and this is another thing, when the teacher started class, everybody shut up and listen to him or her. And they instruct it. Instead of them on their magic boards they got now, and you got 10 different conversations going on in the classroom with maybe 3 or 4 students actually paying attention to the teacher. And that's what they call teaching these days. Because as long as it's over Gen Alpha, because they said they have no respect, no manners, and no comprehension, you know, the 4th grade, 5th grade on down. Oh, yeah. There's going to be, until we correct this problem, and remember, with the education, when we do turn this problem around, it's going to take 12 to 13 years to 16 years getting out of college before we're going to see the effects of correcting that problem. Because since Clinton, they've taken over. And that's quite a few generations that they warped the minds of, okay? But now, okay, so we haven't conditioned our kids to have a future at all. Now, how can I say that? Because they're all living in their parents' basement? Remember that movie, Breakfast Club? And it was Emilio Estevez that said about problems at home. And if we all liked our parents and living at home, we'd all stay at home. I mean, at 16, when we were growing up, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do to get out of the house, to be on our own. Because we were taught college wasn't for everybody. I could have gotten college real easy. I mean, I even had somebody offer to pay to put me through 4 years of college, but I wanted to be a Marine. Yes, I remember that movie. So anyway, I went in the Marine Corps. Go to college. People were honest with us, okay? Yes, I was encouraged to go to college, but I want to be a Marine. Flat out. You know, when you're going to the recruiting office, when you're in the 8th grade and you finally get to be a junior and you get to enlist, and then they start talking about college to you, you're like, nah, I already enlisted. I could have got out of it, but no, I'd already made my plans up. I was just like, anyway, I didn't want to go off to college. I guess I really didn't know what I wanted to do in life, and I wasn't going to spend a bunch of money in college for something or have somebody else to do. You know, I got my degree in electronics, but I got my degree my second term in the Marine Corps. So I do got a college degree, but you notice I don't do it. Good money at it. I was real good at it. But, I was told I needed to go to Personality 101 because I wasn't what you would call a factory worker. College isn't the path for everyone. No, and there's trade schools. See, this is where they got everybody convinced you go to college, you're going to get out of college and get a $250,000 job right away. Let's see. We got 10 million kids going to college. Everyone that year is going to get a $250,000 job. I mean, are they nuts? And believe me, they put them in debt that far. I mean, colleges are just loving the money. Hell, they got building new sports stadiums, whatever. But trade schools, you can live a happy life, especially these days being a plumber. Or 30, you can be making 6 figures in 3 years. Have your own business in a few more years, no problem. That's why I'm doing trees now, because can't get nobody to do it. Good money, can't get nobody to do it. Because you may have to sweat a little bit when it's hot. Anyway, so we're not preparing our kids, all right? And then this is just the dangers, okay? You take away a child's future, you just took away their whole life. Their whole freaking life they had ahead of them. And if they have no ability to create a future. See the big danger of sending them to public school now? I think neighborhoods need to get together. And they need to form their own education communities. We'll go back to the one-room schoolhouse if that's necessary. And find the person in the neighborhood that's a great-ass teacher. And say, teach our kids. And make that teacher responsible to the parents. Okay? Because this is, our founding fathers and the generations before us knew in order to have a better world, the generation after us has to be better than the one before it. Can anybody say that's going on right now? Hell no. I mean, the generation, like college. Can a man get pregnant? I don't know if I can answer that. That's kind of a controversial question. They should teach credit score thing in high school. You know what? I'm credit score. You know what? Fuck the credit score. When I was in the Marine Corps in the early 90s, I was in debt. I had a great credit score, and then the things went bad. I won $22,000 one night playing bingo ago, paid everything off, and I've been a cash man ever since. Fuck that credit score. Anybody is convinced that they need something today that they can't save up and get for tomorrow deserves to pay the bank fucking money. I pay cash for our stuff, whether I got to save up $100 or $100,000. I pay cash for stuff. It's amazing how much easier it is. Credit score. Yeah, wait till they go to a social credit score. But this is the thing, too. In today's world, there have been times where I went to places and I wasn't able to just give them cash and buy something because they had to do a credit check first. And I said, fuck you. I got cash right here. You know, I taught my kids that. And I had a 19-year-old daughter that they had good jobs. They didn't have debt free. And they want to rent this place. And they were going to pay a year's lease. And it was, $20-some thousand at 19. Because they had to run a credit, and since they had cash and not credit, they couldn't get the place. Anyway, just another stupid oxymoron in today's world. Anyway, so I'm a cash man. I'm not going to be convinced I need it today. I lived that life. I had credit cards. I had brand new cars. Lived in a condo. Fuck that. Miserable every fucking payday because I had no money. Okay? It was, when I won that money, people were like, oh, what'd you buy? I said, I paid off all my debt. What are you, nuts? You should have bought a car. Are you fucking crazy? I never slept so good after that, after I paid all that shit off. Hi, Strictly Cycling. Hey, cash is king. Nice to see you tonight. We're talking about dangers our children are facing. We went through vaccines and autism and stuff when they're born, up until school, and then the indoctrination stuff, and the giving them no future because they don't have no education, taking their health from them. Yeah, I was talking about Strictly Cycling. I never told you this story. But this town I'm from, the cross-country track teacher, okay? While their kids are running, he's riding a bike. Yeah. Boy, I tell you what, I would have dropped on the track right away. He said, either get that son of a bitch running or that's it. Anyway, Strictly Cycling. I'm ordering shirts. What size are you? I need to know what size you are. And I'm going to get the Hidden Truths thumbnail here. And then I'll put Strictly Cycling is going to be too many words because I want to put your name here. Anyway, the thing is, I'll have to get my email is Reagan Marine 1986. And anyway, if you could give me yours, I'm a large. Okay. I'm going to get those. Again, Amanda was a medium. You're a large. JP99 is a large. See, Amanda. Okay, that'd be. And then, anyway, get those shirts. And then when I get them, then J99, she gave me her address already, but I'll get them mailed off. And remember, when you get that, you guys are going to know what my last name is. So. The thing is, I wouldn't mind saying it, but I don't need no crazy lunatic liberal coming here because I have talked to a creator that lives about 20 miles away from me. He used to be a gamer. And he told me that somebody that he actually had to block came and shot at him. I don't need no liberal coming here and trying to end their life any earlier than they have to. Okay? And that's how I'm going to say it. It's crazy in today's world. You remember what it was like growing up for us? Got kicked out of the house. I mean, kids can't even play no more. We're talking about dangers. Kids can't even play outside anymore like we did. Make sure you're home. I guess our parents, it got dark out. We were out in the country. It didn't matter. But kids in the city, once street lights come on, come home and stuff. And everybody knew the children were going to come back home. I mean, the mental distress our children are under that we didn't feel as kids, okay? The stress that they are under, the adult situations that are being thrown at them with the sexuality and all this other trash. I mean, it's overwhelming them. They're not allowed to develop naturally like they're supposed to. I mean, jeepers, when I was in 4th grade, I still thought kissing got people pregnant. In 4th grade. Does that make me ignorant, or I was just brought up right? Anyway. But that's what I thought. Okay? So, anyway. Times were different back then. Okay? Just times were different. Our teachers would have got fired back then if they would have discussed some of the stuff in the classroom and pushed the stuff in the classroom that they do today. Anybody disagree with me there? They would have been fired. And I came inside the frickin' head. Anyway, but yeah. Because they can't handle, I mean, you get the ones that are in there, the trolls on this channel, like you say, they were never forced to deal with kid issues, growing up problems, okay? They were always protected from feeling too bad or getting too emotional, making sure they felt no stress. And that was the kid world. Well, we all thought the adult world was easy when we were kids. Well, we got into the adult world and found out that it's not. So these kids couldn't even handle stresses of the kid world, were protected from the stresses of the kid world. And then they're adults because, time passes, everybody gets older. So they don't have the mental discipline, the emotional discipline to function in the adult world because they still got to deal with kid problems. Anyway, we're just screwing them. You got to almost feel sorry for them. And the thing is, we did nothing to stop it. We let these schools take over, and all of a sudden we have school shootings, and we have metal detectors, drug sniffing dogs, and all sorts of weird shit going on in school. I don't know how anybody could send their kids to that building and feel safe. I mean, if it's not the other students, it's the frickin' teachers. And if you ever have a politician show up, and then we're going to have drag queens reading story time to kids. I mean, you're dealing with the kid, right? They're young, right? They're trying to distinguish between men and women and girls and boys. They know the difference, but, we all have our role in the culture. And they're going home and they're looking at their dad, who's a hard-working labor guy and sweating and stuff, and saying, "Hey, son, how's it going?" And then they're going to story time with this thing they think is, "Well, I'm not sure what it is, Dad. It kind of dresses like a girl, but looks like a guy." And he says some really weird stuff. We got to tolerate that. I tell you, this wokeness is over. Well, I'm sorry. Kids are impressionable. Don't need teachers that are don't need teachers that are LGBT. The thing is, if they are, keep it in your fucking closet. The last person that should know about your sexuality, if you're a teacher, is your frickin' students. Your students should not know what you do in your bedroom at all, ever. Like I say, I'm sure we had gay teachers back when I was growing up. None that I knew of. But I can't sit there and say we didn't have them because we had male teachers that weren't married. But, you know, their job was to teach us to become productive adults, not to join their fucking club. And let's just admit it. Back then, people hid that in their closet because they knew it wasn't socially acceptable. Everybody, I would say, has a little bit of mental illness in them. Everybody does something that, society would go. Okay? But we all keep it to ourselves, and we did back then. Now it's a badge of honor to sit there and put it on your chest and say, I'm as weird as I can get. And you got to accept it. And if you don't accept it, let's see, you're a homophobe, xenophobe, whatever phobe you could possibly be. Okay. The last thing I'm going to cover, the dangers of our children. The people watching this, please go to my short that I put on, the latest short. It's about 2 minutes long, about for the kids that are on the front line of the list that don't exist. Okay. Share that out, because YouTube will not, I repeat, will not put that on the feed, period, whatsoever at all. So the only way that short is going to get out is if people share that short out. It's emotional. You goddamn right. Because our kids are being abducted. This is beyond crazy. I mean, when did our kids become pincushions to sit there being indoctrinated to follow crazy political socialist programs, to being kidnapped off the street to be used as sex toys for the rich and elite? This shit's got to stop, man. Our kids are fucked. And if you sit there and try to stand up for your kids on YouTube, like that short I put out, they won't put it on the feed. Why? Because they'll get people thinking. I do stuff for a purpose. A purpose. Every video I put on YouTube, whether people don't understand the purpose or not, it's for the purpose. Whether it's to the algorithm, to Jeff Bezos, or to the public, okay? There's a purpose for it. And that short, I would love to get out. That would jerk some. The thing is, Trump needs to hear from 300 million people. Release the fucking list. Okay? Yeah, a lot of people are on it, but I'm not. See, like I say, I'm not rich or powerful enough to be on that list. That's only for the elites, not for little people like us, okay? So we notice what happens when the elites break laws. These people are beyond evil. Absolutely beyond evil. And when the truth comes out, it's going to be like you were a German citizen having to walk through the Nazi concentration camps like the Allies made them do to prove what the Nazis did, okay? We all know what happened. But, they ain't going to admit it yet. But when it all comes out, the children that were sacrificed, it's going to be bad. It's going to put the world in the dark ages for quite a while. But they have to be punished. We have no other choice. Who would want to be president of the United States to be president of the pedophiles? Not president of the people. He'll never release that list, and he's going to pardon Maxwell. Watch and see. Well, strictly speaking, you got to know that The truth is, I'm sick of it. Like I say, share that Tom Sawyer, If and I Were God. A tribute to the children that are on the front line of the list that don't exist, and show the children that you are somebody that still cares and knows they're out there. Anyway, it's a cry. They don't discriminate. They'll take your children as the victim that they can terrorize to get their thrill. People are sick. They get their thrill from the fear of other people. And then you have people like me that don't fear. So, we'll see what happens there. By the way, something's got to be done, people. I mean, like I say, the Senate Page thing back in the 80s. Okay. And then, like I say, what was Paul Pelosi doing at 2 a.m. in his underwear having a painting and hammer party for? There's so much truth that's going to come out and it's going to shock us all. But in order for it not to stop, and at least for not to let it to happen for a long time, is to expose it and punish the sons of bitches that are doing it. And I'm telling you, death is too good for these people. Fuck death. No. No, and a lot of people, they need to be put to death. No, they need to be worked to death. They need to be worked up until the minute they fucking die, okay? They need to live in agony on this planet for as long as they got left before they're allowed to go to hell, okay? Tom, don't get your hopes up. You won't release the list to the public. Yeah, fuck, the list. Oh, yeah, you guys want the list. Here's the list. I want arrests. I'll figure out who's on the list, okay? They start arresting people. I'll figure out what they're, especially when they say on the news what they've been arrested for. We'll figure out who's on the list. All the way from royalty to the princes of Saudi Arabia and Kuwait to whoever, okay? But remember, these are the people that are in charge of us, control our lives as much as possible, and will put us to death in a second that we could expose them, or you may become too populous, okay? All I know is what I say must be the truth, because if it wasn't the truth, Trump would get me for slander. But then if we went to court, right, I'd be allowed to see all the evidence now, wouldn't I? That's why they can't take nobody to court, because that would just spill the beans everywhere. Not even the civil court, because that would spill the beans everywhere, because then I would get to see all the evidence. You see the game they're playing? Anyway, I'm not listening to the fuckers no more. I don't care. They're up in Washington, D.C. I'm up here in the Panhandle. I'm here in the Panhandle, Nebraska. I don't do nothing wrong. I follow the 10 Commandments, and I don't break any laws, okay? At all. According to the founding fathers, the way the spirit of this country was created, I don't break any laws, okay? If they got a freaking problem with that, I don't know what to tell them. But the greatest president in the world ever was George Washington, hands down. And the Constitution that they created, that was instituted in 1789, is the best document on the planet. They're inalienable and God-given right. But anyway, all I know is our children are screwed. Dangerous from day one. What are we going to do about it? Anyway, like I say, I'm on here raising the alarm. I'm not going to let Trump up. off. I don't care if it's his last day in office and 2 years after that. The piece of shit is part of the club. That's all he's proved to me. Whether he's on the list or not, he's protecting the people on the list. So that makes him guilty of a crime now too, doesn't it? I run red lights every time I ride my bike. Do you actually ride your bike in New York? Isn't that kind of dangerous? I don't know. You know, I guess New York, that'd probably be the fastest way to get around though, huh? But tell you what, you're a braver man than me, Strictly Cycling. I'd rather take on that mean old Holstein bull out there in the yard than I would have to take on some of the stuff you see. Have a good night, Tom, and everyone in chat. Heading to bed. Yep, not a problem. Thank you for being here, J99. Appreciate it. I'm going to be signing off here real quick, too. Like I say, go through my shorts and share the content. Okay? Anything to do with these children, we need to wake. We need to get public opinion to sway the other way towards the truth, okay? Not this lie. And I really wish the liberal Democrats would be screaming. I'm not talking to politicians. I'm talking about the average American Democrat would start really putting up a kick, because a lot of it I hear is just on the right. Okay? We're pissed. And we voted for the man. Maybe that's why we're so pissed. Okay? So anyway, we got to deal with the injustice that our children are going through. And then we're going to have this 2 generations that are going to go through life messed up. And like I say, it's going to take 12 to 16 years to feel the repercussions of re-educating their children in the right way. I mean, this is something that all takes time. They didn't ruin it overnight, and it isn't going to be corrected overnight. Okay? They've had 30 years to ruin it. We got 1 generation to repair it. And hopefully we can sit there and still exist as a country at the end of that time. I'm heading into Manhattan for a Trump protest. Be well, Tom, and all in the chat. Hey, be careful there. They're Strictly Cycling. You might see a couple constitutional conservatives there. Wouldn't that be nuts if the Democrats and Republicans all started protesting together against Trump? Wouldn't that send DC a message? Like I say, you got 25% that are MAGA, 25% that are liberal Democrats, and 50% of us in the middle that are saying, what the hell is fucking going on? Us independents, JFK Republicans, and Eisenhower or Ronald Reagan. JFK Democrats and Reagan Republicans are like, what the hell's going on? We got the majority, people. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody, if you like the Sport Channel, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe and the bell notification, anything to help channel out if you like content. Share my shorts. We got a long road ahead of us. I'm willing to sit there and take that road and fix this country's problems. I am willing to sacrifice and do what I have to so my children and grandchildren and my unborn generations can live in peace. I mean, we already done robbed all their money, haven't we? At least they should be able to do is live in peace. Anyway, that's all I got for this tonight. Everybody enjoy their evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Anyway, this is Tom with the Hidden Truths Channel. Everybody have a great night. I'll see you later.